Hi, I'm Seth Kriebel, and tonight from 7 on the Attenborough Arts Centre Facebook page is a stream of the show I made with Zoe Boraz, A House Repeated, where the audience explores an imagined building and uncovers its hidden stories. I was living in San Francisco and I got a job as a technician for a theater company called Antenna Theater. They made these soundscapes that were broadcast to the audience who were wearing headphones. This was before MP3s and streaming audio and all that. And the audience weren't always just sitting in a building. We did a show where they walked around in a forest. And that's when I realized that theater could be all kinds of different things, and that audiences were interested in all sorts of unusual experiences. A House Repeated is basically a group working together to play an old-fashioned text adventure game. Now, these are the sorts of computer games that I grew up with before there were graphics. There was just a description of a place, usually in glowing green text on a black screen. And I always found those experiences much more engaging than when graphics arrived, because I had to use my imagination to help create the world rather than just having the pictures painted for me. So in the show, the audience use their imaginations to build a world and explore. I always want the audience to have fun, to enjoy themselves. Now, some parts of the show might feel like a puzzle, but it's the sort of puzzle of exploration, of trying to get to a new place, of finding out what's behind that locked door. I want the audience to leave the show feeling that there's more to the world around us than what immediately meets the eye. Lockdown has been difficult, but I'm quite lucky. I'm here with my family. We live in Brighton, which is great. There have been lots of walks by the sea. Like everyone else, I watch too much telly. I have not taken up baking or learned a new language or anything like that. I have kind of enjoyed the slower pace of lockdown. I don't feel like I'm rushing around all the time, and in a way that's quite nice to have an excuse to be stuck indoors and just have to take it a little bit slower. And I'm in maybe better touch now with friends and family all over the world than I was when I was allowed to go outside. Theater is difficult right now, obviously, but it will come back. There's just something about being in a room together for a live performance, whether it's theater or dance or music or comedy. We like to experience things together. The only advice I give about making theater or any art is to think about what you're making from the audience's perspective. What experience are they having? It's a conversation. You're not talking at the audience, you're talking with the audience. My favorite book is probably Invisible Cities by Italo Calvino. It is about Marco Polo in conversation with Kubla Khan, describing all of the different cities he visits on his travels. But really, he's just describing over and over his home city of Venice. So it's actually a great lockdown book when you're stuck in the same place, but it's interesting to look at it from lots of different angles. When I was a kid, I would have said my favorite books were Choose Your Own Adventure books, because you get to explore and take your own path through lots of different stories. And both of those things really have a lot to do with the sorts of theater shows that I make now. My shows take a lot of inspiration from games, so one of the best things about what I do is every time I perform, it's like I get to play a game with a new group of people. It's been great to travel all around the UK and meet new people, perform for them, and play these games. From a record store on the Isle of Wight to the British Library in London, there's always people who are interested in trying something new together. I've been working on a new show, an interactive version of The Death of King Arthur. It's in the same vein as the version of Beowulf that I did a few years ago, which I brought to the Attenborough Arts Centre in Leicester. But this time, the audience will shape their own story of Arthur and his knights. This one's a bit different from past shows, as there are so many different versions of Arthur's story. So this time the audience will have to choose which story they want to believe. So tonight from 7 o'clock on the Attenborough Arts Centre's Facebook page, come watch A House Repeated. Thanks very much. Enjoy the show.